So I see the BSP as like a one-stop shop for all the airlines that is providing us a huge convenience for taking care of our payments and the settlement process. You know, considering the IATA is covering today around like 120 countries and then more than 300 airlines, it's a huge workload. And for an airline like ourselves, you know, 130 countries, and in 110 of them, we work with IATA's BSP structure. Considering the diversity of the geographies, the economic developments, the crisis, just the one like we are going through now, having a seamless standard application of the settlement and then reconciliation of the payments makes a big difference. So it gives us a lot of safety, security, most importantly foreseeability. You know, given this, as you just raised, managing the liquidity is of great importance. And then within this, for airlines, you know, we don't make the huge margins. And then foreseeing when the settlement is going to come, and then being almost sure that it is going to come on time makes a huge difference in our decisions to make the future projections. Another related issue is the counterparty risk. We don't deal because the IATA is involved, we don't deal with all these agencies, contracts, financial guarantees, the fraud cases. So it's all taken care of by the IATA's process, also puts us in a lot of relief. And lastly, about the scrutiny, you know, it provides, the IATA through the BSP system provides a standard document, and then it's tractable, it's traceable, and it's very transparent. So it also makes our reporting, analysis process very easy. Definitely, I think the most important contribution is the predictability. You know, we have huge working capital needs. And then every day, probably an average airline makes the thousands of different payments, from the fuel, the catering, handling, and airport fees. So there are zillions documents flying around. And of course, related to the payments are made and the cash inflow is coming. You'd like to, as an airline, we have to every day make a huge assessment of where do I make this payment from. So knowing that in its timely period, the money flows, the settlements are flowing to our accounts, makes our working capital decisions, our payment decisions much more easy. So I would say that that's the utmost important part. And as an airline, I feel like for a CFO perspective, the cash management is like the aircraft utilization. We want to utilize the aircrafts to the extent possible, right? To benefit from them at the most. So as a CFO, we need to utilize the cash at the extent possible. If it sits idle in an account, uncleared, right, then it has a big opportunity cost for us. So IATA through this system is helping us not to be dealing with 30-some thousand different agency accounts or bank accounts, but provides us a one-stop shop and provides us the cash inflow in a foreseeable way. So that makes us job very easy. The second piece is, as I said, on the counterparty risk side, I don't need to deal with too many different contracts with thousands and thousands of different agencies. The compliance-wise, IATA takes care of all that process, so it helps us to mitigate any compliance-related risks. The fraud risk, another issue that also helps us being mitigated from the airline's perspective. So I have much less administrative costs attached to our payment and the settlement process. So it provides us a lot of flexibility operationally, but also financially provides us some flexibility to deal with this huge amount of operations. This is very critical, definitely. So what we define BSP so far has been a huge process platform. But the way forward for the whole aviation world is not like this. You know, we want faster reconciliations, faster settlements, and then we want cheaper settlements. So through the existing platform, as the BSP has been using, I don't think there are too many availabilities that these two issues, fast and then cheap, can be accommodated. We need to use the new technological tools. We need to use the AI. It has to be more of a, not just providing me foresight is valuable, but it should also help me to have a predictive power. You know, it should BSP, that settlement process, seeing that every month or every 2 weeks period, we get certain amounts, but it should help me to make my cash flow projections more thoroughly. So I think there is a lot of benefit BSP system can bring us to the airlines to make our cash flow predictions more comprehensive, more thorough, more foreseeable. Second thing is we are seeing the payment world is changing rapidly. New players, new tools, and new products are coming to the market very frequently. So BSP platform should also be able to adjust itself so that it can use these new platforms, new products, so that, you know, we can still at the end of the day benefit from the faster, more diversity, and then quicker transfers. I think these would be the great benefits of BSP world going forward.